Good morning, everyone. So we are out here today working on something a little different. Part of the low-tech family though, and that, if I spin around here, you can probably see it lurking in the background, is the 63 Dodge wagon that my dad's been working on for quite some time. But today we're going to be swapping out the K-member in it. So it actually has a tubular K-member already, but right now it's for a small block, and we are going to be putting one in for a big block. So we'll kind of spin around here so you guys can kind of check out what we've been up to on this. And I think now that we're getting going on the car again, that we'll probably actually do a proper update on this in the future if you guys like it. But you know, we love our classic American muscle, and there's going to be a lot of content on these cars as next few months go on, because we're trying to get them all on the road for the holiday time. So let me spin around here and we'll take a look at the car. All right, so yeah, we have a very clean 440 motor. Kind of goes nicely as it's a 440 model wagon. And I'll just do a spin around here. Got Josh in the hot seat. Trying to get the steering box out right now, but pretty clean. You definitely do not see these very often, especially in this shape. So once we get this K-member in, a couple other things, we'll see if we can get it out of the garage here so we can do a full tour and talk about all the upgrades that have been done to it, because as much as it looks stock, there's a lot of stuff going on underneath that is not. But I think we're going to cut over here to a time lapse. You guys can watch us get the K-member out, and then we can kind of talk about the differences and what we're trying to accomplish. But the main thing is we had got this on a small block K-member just to have everything in place. As you may notice, there's quite a gap back here. And so with the big block K-member, we should be able to close this up significantly, which is good for engine weight distribution, and it's also good for clearance for all the accessories too. So anyway, we're going to do a little time lapse here, and we'll check back in a little bit.
Alright guys, so we got a progress update here. We're about ready to pull the K-member out. So I'll show you what we've done, and we're trying a new theory here to see if we can get this out with a lot less prep work than usual. So basically, we've got the engine suspended, we have the engine mounts removed, and we also have the steering box still connected and everything, but suspended off of the brace bar here. We have removed the front nut off of the torsion arms that come forward, and we have disconnected the idler arms and the steering. So the K-member is now basically free, and it's just kind of sitting on the torsion arms themselves, and our hope is that we can actually slide the K-member forward and out that way without disconnecting anything else.
It is OSHA approved.
Yeah, this is this is OSHA approved, everyone. But that being said, if this works, that saves an absolutely huge amount of work compared to a normal K-member removal where you take everything off. So we are going to take a crack at this, and we will check back in and let you know how it goes. All right, so we have a great success here. We have managed to get the previous K-member out exactly as described. We're going to run you through all the stuff we actually left in the car so you can see how little you actually have to remove. And then we're also going to show you a side-by-side of the K-member that we took out and the new one that's going in. So let me walk you through that real quick here. So these are the two K-members. So the short story of why this K-member exists, originally this vehicle was a 318 poly from the factory, and the original intent for the vehicle was to build a stroker 318, but I guess he wanted a tubular K-member with that. So this has been custom made to mount the 318 in that vehicle with a tubular K-member. So I guess at the time this thing was perfect for that application. But along the way, we found this really great 440 that you've seen in there now, and basically changed directions. And at the time, we were like, yeah, you know what, let's try it. Let's see if we can make it fit, because this car was available with a 426 at the time, and we were hoping that perhaps you could just drop the 440 in. Unfortunately, that was not the case, in the sense of it sat a little too high, and it sat a few inches too far forward to accept the serpentine setup and the electric fans and everything that are going into this vehicle. So enter this K-member. This one is designed specifically for the 440, and you'll note, using this area as a reference point, so this is where the engine mounts attach, and you can kind of see this assembly here for the steering box. And then if you look, this is the steering box area that I just showed you. See how far forward the engine mounts sit, and also how much higher. So this should achieve exactly what we're looking for, which is setting the engine back and setting it lower. And the height issue we're describing is basically because it's running a dual quad intake manifold and a really cool air cleaner. It basically sits just a little too high to fit under the hood properly. So again, lowering the motor just that little bit is going to help, and make it fit. So let's get under the car, and we'll show you all of the parts that are left in place, and you'll see how amazing this method actually is. All right, so here we are under the driver's side of the car, and as you can see, the steering box is still here, hung from the engine brace bar that we have up there. This is the spindle for the torsion bar, and you can see the torsion bar runs all the way back there. And we have the lower control arm, we have the upper control arm, getting attacked by a fly. You still have the shock absorber, and all of the steering is still attached. So essentially, by undoing the four main bolts that hold the K-member up to the rails here, and then these two spindles, and then disconnecting the steering, we were able to, and also I guess the link here, we were able to slide the K-member forward off of these spindles and just drop it down and bring it out. So all of this is able to remain in place, and we can just reverse the process to put the new one in. So we have a success. The new K-member is in. It went pretty much as planned. We had to kind of change tactic a little bit of the way through. We had tried to get it in with the engine mounts attached to the engine itself, but ended up having to take those off, put the K-member in, and then kind of get those slotted between the motor and the K-member itself. So let's show you what we ended up with. And as you can see, first of all, we have way more space up front. So we now have tons of room for the electric fans, which is one of the major goals of this. And you can see it moved it back much closer to the firewall, but not dangerously close. So that is excellent. And then you can also see that the motor is sitting significantly lower in the engine bay as well, so hopefully that gets the clearance needed for it to slide past the hood with the nice air cleaner and everything on there. So yeah, I mean, in the end, it worked. It was a little bit of, fiddling around and just kind of, it definitely took all three of us, so be prepared to have help if you're planning on doing a similar thing to this, but I am very glad we tackled it the way we did. I think that was definitely the right approach. So I would say if you're trying to do something similar to this, consider doing it that way. So we are basically wrapping up. We're just going to see about locking the tail shaft of the transmission in place, see if we can get the mount on there, and once that's done, I think we're wrapped up for the day. So leave us a comment. I know we haven't done many videos about this vehicle, but I guess, we're hoping to introduce it a little more here in the near future, and let us know what you think. Ask away if you have questions, because I know most of you probably haven't seen one of these before, and we'd love to educate you on what we know. Again, we always love seeing the comments. So if you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing to the channel as well, because as you've probably seen, we have some really cool classic car content, and we also do some cool stuff with some other, fun and interesting vehicles. So every subscriber helps, every like helps, and we always appreciate the time you guys give to us. So have a good one, and we'll catch you on the next one.